Today is Tuesday, May 6th. We're talking about a plan to cut top generals from the U.S. military. And will cash be enough to get undocumented migrants to self-deport? Also, we'll tell you which American companies are warning their customers about price hikes to offset new tariffs. Plus, what's causing delays at a major airline hub in the U.S., why the NFL is working with the White House on a big event, and how you can thank an everyday hero today. Those stories and even more news coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Well, some of the latest cuts within the federal government include the senior-most ranks of the U.S. military. This week, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told the military to get rid of 20% of its four-star general officers, as well as 10% of its general and flag officers across the force. That's on top of the top general officers President Trump or Hegseth have fired already. They say the cuts are freeing the military from unnecessary bureaucratic layers. Some lawmakers, though, have expressed fears that Hegseth is trying to politicize the military. At this point, it's not clear exactly which positions will be cut or when. Hegseth says the cuts will be done carefully but expeditiously. Pete Hegseth is still facing questions over his handling of sensitive information, especially when it comes to him using the Signal messaging app. The Wall Street Journal cites sources who say Hegseth has used it far more extensively for official business than previously reported, with at least a dozen separate chats going. To be clear, the Journal says he is not sharing classified information, but still things that are considered sensitive, like details of national security debates. And in one instance, he apparently told his aides to tell allies about ongoing military operations. To be clear, previous administrations have also used non-governmental messaging apps. But many experts say using personal phones and commercial apps, especially when sharing closely guarded information, introduces an unnecessary risk. And the Journal says in some cases, Hegseth's messages disappeared without being properly recorded. The Trump White House has actually been using another app to collect and store messages as well, called Telemessage. Well, just this week, Telemessage suspended service after reportedly being hacked. Of course, that raises more questions about security protocols. For now, no comment from the federal government, but Telemessage says it hired an external cybersecurity firm to help investigate. The Trump administration has a new tactic to get undocumented migrants to leave the U.S. without having to deport them. It's offering them free airline tickets and a $1,000 incentive if they return to their home countries voluntarily. To take advantage, the Homeland Security Department is telling people to use the government smartphone app, now known as CBP Home. It's the same app the Biden administration used to let certain migrants enter the U.S. legally. And now the Trump administration expects many more to use it for self-removal. This helps the government conserve resources. As it stands, Immigration and Customs Enforcement does not have the personnel, detention space, or other resources needed to arrest, detain, and deport the millions of immigrants thought to be living here without authorization. Officials say arresting, detaining, and deporting a migrant costs, on average, more than $17,000. Still, the Trump administration has tapped many agencies to further its deportation goal, and it's requesting more money from Congress. Israel has approved a controversial new strategy to expand the war in Gaza. It's sending in tens of thousands more soldiers to occupy the territory instead of striking and then retreating, since that allowed the terrorist group Hamas to rebuild. It's not clear how long Israeli troops will stay there, but the Israeli military says its fighting will get more intense until all hostages are free and Hamas is defeated. The plan also means relocating Palestinians to the south. Already, the United Nations says about 70% of Gaza is considered a military red zone or under evacuation orders. And aid groups have warned against displacing Palestinian civilians more, since many have had to move several times since the fighting started. Plus, supplies of essentials like food, fuel, clean water, and medicine are running dangerously low. But Israel says relocating Palestinians is for their own safety. This week, Israel also approved a plan to overhaul food distribution in Gaza, since right now it accuses Hamas of stealing and diverting aid to fund its war effort. With the new plan, Israel will be controlling and reducing that aid. All the while, Israel says it still wants to reach a new ceasefire and hostage release deal, ideally before President Trump's visit later this month. To be continued. The group of oil-producing nations across the world and their allies, together known as OPEC+, have decided to pump more oil. It's the second straight month they've announced a hike, and with that, oil prices have been sliding. The U.S. benchmark oil price settled at $57.13 a barrel yesterday. That's the lowest level in more than 4 years. And it's down more than 25% since just before President Trump took office. Traders apparently worry OPEC's move could tip the market into oversupply, and it might not be profitable to drill new wells. But Trump has repeatedly asked OPEC Plus to bring down global oil prices, and it's likely to mean cheaper gas for Americans hitting the road this summer. Countries that make up OPEC Plus say even more production increases could be coming. Stay tuned. We have more news for you still ahead in just 1 minute, but first, this episode is sponsored by ZocDoc. We all know spring comes with more than just flowers. For some people, it can also come with sneezing, itchy eyes, and congestion. But why suffer when relief is just a click away? ZocDoc has you covered. Whether you need a nearby allergist, a primary care physician for an initial checkup, a pediatrician for your little ones, or a telehealth option for quick care, ZocDoc can help you get allergy relief fast so you can beat sneezing season and make spring a little less sniffly. If you're not already familiar, ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty. You can even filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, are a good fit for any medical need you may have, and are highly rated by verified patients. I check ZocDoc whenever I need a new doctor. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Now back to the news. The NFL draft is coming to the nation's capital. President Trump announced the 2027 draft will be held on the National Mall. The event is expected to draw 1 million fans to the city. Actual planning has been more than a year in the making and apparently is still in progress. But it's just one of the ways Washington, D.C. is working to transform itself into a sports capital, not just a government capital. Just about a week ago, a nearly $4 billion deal was announced between Washington, D.C. and the Commanders to build a new stadium. If the D.C. Council signs off, the plan is for it to open in time for the 2030 NFL season. President Trump's latest tariff target is the movie industry. He says he'll impose a 100% tariff on movies produced outside of the U.S., saying the issue poses a national security threat. But he didn't get into a lot of details. So studio executives have been asking about the timing of it all and how it would be enforced. Like, would it apply to any movie with scenes shot overseas or just movies receiving tax incentives from foreign countries, along with a lot of other questions. For now, the White House says no final decisions have been made. Still, shares of media companies fell on Wall Street. Speaking of tariffs, more companies have announced price increases to offset tariff costs. For example, Mattel says it's going to have to raise prices for some toys sold in the U.S. Other companies have already made similar announcements, including consumer products giant Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, Stanley Black & Decker, and more. Retailers like Target, Walmart, Costco, Dollar Tree, and Best Buy have also warned about price hikes. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is still negotiating with some trading partners and is hoping to announce some deals over the next few weeks. The U.S. Army is now suspending helicopter training flights to the Pentagon after more issues around Reagan National Airport. Last week, 2 passenger jets had to abort landings to avoid a Black Hawk in the area. And remember, it was a U.S. Army helicopter that collided midair with a passenger jet in January, killing 67 people. The National Transportation Safety Board is still investigating both the crash and the incident last week. But Reagan isn't the only major airport dealing with issues right now. Newark Liberty International Airport has been plagued with flight delays and cancellations lately. It started about a week ago when air traffic controllers lost radar and radio communication for about 90 seconds. Bloomberg cites sources who say it was the latest in a series of technology failures, and there are worries the issues could lead to another tragedy. In fact, Bloomberg says the latest outage left air traffic controllers visibly shaken, and after that incident, multiple employees were placed on trauma leave, making a staffing shortage worse. So United and Delta Airlines cut flights. Now the FAA says it's working on the telecommunications equipment so it's more reliable in the New York area. And it's busy training new controllers who will eventually be assigned to the busy airspace. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy also says he will unveil a more specific plan to address some of the challenges later this week. The maker of ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence projects has decided not to become a for-profit business after all. For months, OpenAI has been working to convert itself from a nonprofit. But now CEO Sam Altman says the plan was scrapped after discussions with civic leaders and the attorneys general of California and Delaware, who would have had to sign off on the plan. It's a win for OpenAI critics like Elon Musk, who believe the company strayed too far from its original altruistic mission. But OpenAI isn't totally going back to the way it once was, either. There's a new proposal that calls for the for-profit arm of the company to convert into a public benefit corporation that has to consider the interests of both the shareholders and the mission. Basically, Altman says it will allow OpenAI to raise more money and pursue mergers and acquisitions, while the nonprofit still has most of the control. OpenAI becoming a public benefit corporation is not exactly unheard of. Many other artificial intelligence companies have done the same, including Anthropic and xAI. It's National Nurses Week. Every year, starting on May 6th, there's a week dedicated to celebrating those healthcare workers and all their hard work. The week ends on the birthday of Florence Nightingale, aka the founder of modern nursing. This year, the Nurses Week theme is the power of nurses. If you want to spoil that special healthcare worker in your life, there are a lot of deals online for nurses' gifts at places like Amazon and Etsy. Many restaurants are also offering nurses discounts and freebies, and several sports teams are hosting nurses' nights to offer special deals and recognition. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Quince. Have summer travel plans? Join me in getting a first-class quality luggage set, but with an economy price tag. I just got Quince's carry-on suitcase in a really cute light blue color, and I adore it. Not only does it look super stylish, but also the features are perfect. Interior compression panels, removable laundry bags, high-performance 360-degree spinner wheels, so I move through the airport with ease, and a TSA-approved lock, just to name a few of the features. Not to mention the price tag. Many reviews compare it to much more expensive options for a reason. In fact, whether it's luggage, clothes, shoes, or bags, Quince has great options that are priced 50 to 80% less than what you'd find at similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury without the markup. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. So treat your closet to a little summer glow up with Quince. Go to quince.com/newsworthy for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/newsworthy to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. And today's trivia question is, why is Boston called Beantown? Listen again next Tuesday for the answer and explanation. As for last week's trivia question, which Scottish actor played James Bond for much of the 1960s? The answer is Sean Connery. He's actually the first actor to portray Bond in a movie, and he did so in 7 of them, making him a huge household name in Hollywood. Not only that, but the Bond movie's producers say Connery was largely responsible for the success of the whole film series. Of course, it quickly became one of the most successful movie franchises of all time. The lead role has since been played by Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, and a few other actors. But for many fans, 007 will always have the iconic face, voice, and swagger of Sean Connery. Thanks for joining us to get caught up on the news today. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest news to know. Until then, have a great day.